Hey guys, welcome to the Brad Bodnarchuk podcast. So excited to have you here, and welcome to the first of many of these. And I want to say thank you so much to everyone that has sent messages and double tapped on Instagram in regards to this change that I've decided to make. And it didn't come easy, but it came easy. And I'll give you guys a bit of an idea as to why I made the switch, why I decided to leave Half a Dozen Hospitality as a podcast behind, and why I've decided to now move forward with the podcast being the Brad Bodnarchuk podcast. And even as I sit here right now, I have nerves, and I haven't had nerves on the mic or in front of the camera for quite some time. So I know this is exactly where I need to be. But what Half Dozen Hospitality was for me for the last 2.5 years was an incredible platform, a great way for me to launch my business, which I've done and will continue to do. And we'll talk about that shortly. But what I was aware of more so now than ever, as I looked at what Half a Dozen Hospitality podcast has become, it was a box that I had to operate within. And I found at times I wanted to stretch or bust outside of that box. And at times I think it was a bit of a reach. So if I go back just a few months, I did a series that I called The Mindset in Hospitality. And while I'm incredibly proud of that series, and I think a lot of that information is super applicable to the hospitality industry, if I'm really honest, that information is applicable to anyone, anywhere, in any industry. So when I found that I was desiring to share more information, but felt a little bit, I guess, handcuffed by what Half a Dozen Hospitality podcast was, it just didn't feel sincere. And I know that this is sincere. This is where I need to go. And it has been 2.5 years of just incredible experience, incredible learning, over 160 episodes. I'm proud to say I put one out every single week, at least one out every single week for the last 2.5 years, which is a huge feat. Anyone out there who's listening, who has a podcast or a YouTube channel or any form of social media, you understand how key consistency is, but also how difficult it can be at times as well. And looking back at how the podcast initially started and my motivations and even just how I operated it, I was so concerned, and this is just me being honest and raw, I was so concerned about who listened to it, how many people subscribed, how many downloads, all of those things. And even when it came to my guests, I found myself scrolling through Instagram or on the internet looking for people that had massive audiences themselves. And I was only interested in interviewing people that had massive audiences. I wasn't just interested in the story, which at my core is what I really am interested in, is the story, is telling, learning stories. And I was selling out a bit, to be honest. And while even when I had those guests on that had the bigger audiences, it ended up being a great conversation, ended up being a great story, it still wasn't fully in alignment with what I wanted to be doing at my core. This is the Brad Bodnarchuk podcast is. And I'm excited to have you guys along for the ride, and I appreciate and love you all for supporting me. It means the world. So as I go down this path of a transition, of evolution, I am wanting to do more, which a lot of people, like my partner Lindsay, for example, might kind of shriek at a bit because I'm already doing so much. But what I feel like in launching this podcast now, it opens me up to do more, but in a much more focused way. And it's much more in alignment with what I want to be doing. And what I want to be doing is serving others, contributing and helping the masses. I have very, very big, audacious goals. And I know that for me to achieve those goals, staying within that box that I spoke to that was, or that is half dozen hospitality, I wasn't going to get there. So I needed to, like I am right now, get a little bit uncomfortable again and push myself. Not so far where the wheels fall off, but just before the wheels fall off. And that's where I am right now. And again, I'm super excited about this process, and I cannot wait to see what it becomes. And what are my intentions? What will it be? It'll be a lot of this. It'll be a lot of me on the mic sharing thoughts, anecdotes, stories on life, on business, on relationships, on love, but still very much speaking to the industry that I know and love so well and so intimately, hospitality. If it wasn't for the hospitality industry, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be recording this podcast on this microphone or with this light or with this camera. The hospitality industry has given me everything since I was 16 years old. So will I still be working with and talking to and telling the stories of the hospitality industry? 100%. But it isn't going to be the only thing that I do, because I want to do so much more, and I want to be able to work with and help and speak to people that don't necessarily spend 12 hours, 20 hours a day in a kitchen. I want to speak to the masses. And I know that this is, again, exactly the path I need to be on. So with this podcast, you will still hear interviews, you will still hear great conversations, but you also will hear from me and me on the mic. And I'm excited to share more with you guys, especially in regards to programs and offerings that I'm coming up with. The Culture of Excellence program, which is designed specifically for the hospitality industry, is still up and running. I'm still very passionate about that. I'm still very passionate about the material in there. And hey, if you're out there listening and you want to discuss more of what the Culture of Excellence is, reach out to me anytime or head to my website. You can find out there. And then I guess the newest program, which really kind of initiated this evolution, is my new program, my live coaching program called Life the Recipe, which is also a daily journal as well, which is available for pre-order right now. Actually, a quick shout out to my publisher out of Victoria, BC, Telwell. Shout out Telwell for your help and support in me bringing this book to life. So you can get that book also on my website at bradbodnarchuk.com for a pre-order. So you'll hear about my programs. You'll hear conversations from others besides myself, because I still want to learn. There's still so much out there, and that's what is amazing right now. And I'm looking to my left here, and there's a stack of books, and the stack of books has so much information in it. And I think it's so cool, the world we live in right now, whether it is a book or a Kindle or an Audible book or the internet or a blog. There's just so much information out there. And we live in such an incredible time where if you want to learn something, you can learn it. And to that point, with there being so much information out there, we really need to be smart and careful about the information that we allow ourselves to be exposed to. So I want to say thank you for choosing this podcast. I want to say thank you for choosing this video if you're watching it on YouTube. I want to say thank you for choosing me as someone that you share these moments with. It really does mean more than you know. And I hope deep down that you take something from this podcast. I hope that you take something from these conversations. And while I know deep down it isn't why I do it, it is still important to me that this is serving you and serving you guys, the listeners and the viewers, in some way, shape, or form. Again, that's why I feel like I'm put here. And I believe fundamentally, again, this is where I'm supposed to be. That's something I'm going super deep on right now, whether it's reading Awaken the Giant by Tony Robbins, which you guys all should read if you're open to it, or listening over and over and over to Dr. Joe Dispenza's podcasts. I'm just completely in awe with belief right now. And I have an incredible belief in my ability to hop on this microphone, create a podcast that will add value, that will be entertaining, that will offer insights that you can take and apply to your life and make it better. And that again is a big motivation of what Life the Recipe is. That program is all about me sharing my story, about me sharing how I got to where I am today. And don't get me wrong, like I am incredibly flawed, and I have a ways to go as far as my improvement and as far as my visions and my goals. But I'm so excited to be where I'm at today. Excuse me, because of the systems and the tools and the habits and the mindset that I have adopted. And that's what I want to share with you guys, both on this podcast, but also in the Life the Recipe program as well. So if you're interested, a plug for a minute, if you're interested in Life the Recipe, it actually starts, the live coaching starts Monday, October the 5th. So if you're listening to this and you've got a few days and you're interested, like, hey, I want to find out some more, reach out to me, Brad at bradbodnarchuk.com, and let's have a conversation. Let's see if the program is right for you. If you're feeling stuck at all in your life, if you're feeling like you need some more tools or systems to switch things up, let's have a conversation. Let's see if it's a right fit for you. So this is it. This is me doing the Brad Bodnarchuk podcast, and this is episode 1, really, of hopefully hundreds of thousands of episodes. And I want to say one more time, thank you guys so much for your support. It is the cherry on the top of my already awesome ice cream that is my life. And your support is like the fuel that keeps me going. So thank you very, very much for all of your support, whether it's, again, a double tap on Instagram, or a subscription to the podcast, or a share of the podcast as well. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to leave you guys to go enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this podcast, or you feel like you know someone that would enjoy this podcast as well, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with them. And if you want to, like I said, grab the daily journal, Life the Recipe Daily Journal. It is available over on bradbodnarchuk.com for a pre-order. And Life the Recipe, the program, starts October 5th. It is a live coaching program with me and a group of individuals that are entrepreneurs, dads, moms, just regular people trying to, improve their life, period. It's that simple. So if you want to get involved in that, reach out and see if the program is the right fit for you. That's it from you guys. You know what to do. Until next time, be good and do good. Peace.
It's just like that as we proceed. And we